Hello everyone, I'm Ted Bosey. I'm writer for Psi Chi Newsletter, and with me today is Dr. Ross.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Ross. I'm the professor of psychology and the director of our doctoral program in clinical psychology here.
All right, Dr. Ross, can you tell me where you're from originally?
I'm originally from St. Louis, so I came back. I was away at school for many years, but I've come back to the area.
Oh, welcome back. And can you tell me where you went for undergrad and graduate school?
Sure. I did my undergraduate at Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri, and had multiple majors. Finally settled on psychology. And then from there, I actually went to University of Missouri Columbia, where I got a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling. But I found that my interest while working with both with persons with physical disabilities as well as alcoholism and substance abuse disorders, I really found a passion working with people with psychiatric disabilities. So I got into working in with psychiatric populations, and from there I worked with schizophrenics for a long period of time, and then decided to go back in clinical psychology. So then I got a master's and a PhD in clinical psychology from the University of Missouri Columbia, and then from there I did my internship in clinical psychology at Columbia University Presbyterian Medical Center in New York. And then finally came back to St. Louis for a postdoctoral fellowship in behavioral medicine in our department of psychiatry.
Oh, excellent. So, how long have you been here at SLU?
Since 1985, so starting my 30th year.
Oh, congrats. And can you tell me a little bit about your research here at SLU?
Yes, I think my early research, and one of the things I continue that's still quite interesting to me and passionate about, is the whole area of social cognition and schematic information processing in particularly depression, but somewhat in anxiety disorders as well. I was particularly interested in the progression. What happens, how does a person move from a non-depressed state into a depressed state in terms of how they view themselves? So do they start to become inconsistent? What my early findings were that people become inconsistent in terms of how they view themselves as they move in that direction. The question has always been, what is it that comes first? Is it or they start to doubt the positive aspects of themselves, or is it that they start to have more of the negative aspects of themselves? And then we start to look at that over time in terms of what happens. So that's one area. Similar, we've done some work in cognitive processing with anxiety disorders. Most recently, I've moved some of my research in the area of sports psychology. One area is primarily done in the psychology of sports injury and psychological interventions to facilitate not only adjustment, but actually to facilitate and help people recover from physical recovery from physical injury for athletes.
Wow, sounds like you do a lot. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I understand you're also the director of the clinical program.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the responsibilities that entails?
Sure. As director of our doctoral program in clinical psychology, I really work for the faculty, for the clinical faculty. I help to kind of build a sense of purpose, mission, community together, that all of us are working together. Part of that actually comes out of APA accreditation, making sure that we are meeting the standards, that we have a clear model of training, that we are doing what we're saying that we're doing, that we're building a really good learning environment for our students with opportunities for both the science and the practice of clinical psychology, that our model of training is sequential, it's developmental, and that ultimately that our graduates go out and do what they do, not only in terms of things like accreditation, which is get licensed and work in hospitals, VAs, or wherever they may work, but also I think doing something that's consistent with the Jesuit mission. And there's few things more consistent with serving others, in my opinion, than clinical psychology.
Cool. Can you walk me through like a typical day?
A typical day is atypical, is what I'd say.
Okay.
Every day is very different, which is one of the things I love about the work that I do. There is very little, in my opinion, other than that I have scheduled class times at certain times that are scheduled. Other than that, it is the variety of things that I am either called to do or elect to do, whether it's spending time supervising students individually or in group as they're seeing patients and clients in our psychological services center, and working on the training aspect of their practice, working with them on a research team, whether that's individually on their thesis, dissertation, or an independent research project, or working as part of a research team where the graduate students are working together in that. to then actual classroom teaching, to meeting with faculty individually or collectively as a group. I also work heavily with our athletics department here through a variety of roles that I have with them. And then it's really trying to work with people on campus. There's a variety of people that I think it's about building partnerships, building a sense of community. And it is also helping to get the resources that we need and being a resource for other departments, other programs, other entities across the university in terms of what the science and practice of clinical psychology and how we can contribute.
You really do it all. Let's see anything else. What classes do you teach here at SLU right now?
At the undergraduate level, I always teach, and I have for 30 years now. I have not missed a fall section of general psychology to our freshman class. It's been traditionally, I think it's the largest class on campus, 300 students in the class. And so it's one of the things I absolutely love doing and enjoy doing very much so, because it really keeps you on your toes. You have to really understand the whole general, all aspects of psychology. And I really love that about psychology, is that there's so many different things that you can do. In the summer, I teach a course for undergraduates on sports psychology that is really on the foundations of sports psychology, but also on performance enhancement, then the societal aspects of sports. So it's really a well-rounded course. In the fall, for the athletic training and some physical therapy students, not psychology students, I teach a course in the psychology of sports and sports injuries, because the athletic trainers and physical therapists, again, it gets back to that my area of interest in sports injuries and how I'm working on. Then at the doctoral level, in addition to supervising theses supervising research or supervising practice, then I actually teach the graduate core course for our clinical psychology students in psychological treatments and interventions.
Okay, I think we're about wrapping up, but anything else you'd like to add or any closing remarks?
No, just that I very much support all that Psi Chi has done. I've seen its presence just increase over the 30 years that I've been here. I think it's a wonderful organization to get people involved who are passionate about psychology and can share their passion for psychology through Psi Chi.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Great.